talking about, before we get to some other news, I'm going to talk about some good news. Noah Samson, ladies and gentlemen, Ethan Klein obviously tried to sue Noah and has backed away from suing Noah. So there is some good news. Let's start off there.
I've got a big lawsuit update for you.
And I got to pee.
It's over. Ethan Klein has dropped his defamation lawsuit against me. He filed a motion to dismiss the case with prejudice, meaning that he cannot sue me for the claims in this lawsuit ever again. It's over. We won. I mean, kind of. We didn't really win anything. In fact, I actually lost like a bunch of time and money and peace of mind and all that. But I am no longer being sued, so I guess we'll take it. This lawsuit and the legal threats leading up to it have been a massive year-long headache. I'm super glad that it's over. I can get back to just focusing on videos. And we also get to donate the money we raised for my legal defense, which after subtracting the fees should still be about $100,000. Unfortunately, right now, GoFundMe is holding the funds for review. We've given them all the information they need and we haven't heard back. It's been super frustrating. Hopefully it gets cleared up soon. And once it does, I'll be posting an update on community posts or maybe a video. In the meantime, consider donating to Project Sarsour, which is where the money will go. It's my friend Ahmed's project. He lives in Gaza and the money will go to help families there and a number of other projects. Anyways, so the first question you might have here is, what happened? Why did Ethan drop the lawsuit? And right now, I don't have a firm answer for that. Ethan hasn't commented publicly and did not respond to my requests for comment. But now that it's been dropped with prejudice and with no confidentiality clauses, I'm able to talk openly about everything that happened. And I think by the end of the video, we should have a little bit more of an idea as to how this all played out the way that it did. So first, a brief recap. In March of last year, I released this video, The YouTubers Who Backed a Genocide. It was a response to a video from Ethan Klein called Content Nuke Hassan Piker. In that video, I highlighted a bunch of statements from several prominent content creators and used those statements to demonstrate the way that the Western media apparatus has helped to normalize Israel's genocide in Gaza. Things like atrocity propaganda, misinformation about groups resisting Israel, and Zionist historical narratives. Ethan Klein responded to the video by immediately threatening to sue me for defamation. He issued a cease and desist and demanded that I take the video down and apologize or else he would sue me. He dedicated a few episodes of his podcast to issuing these sorts of threats.
All he has to do to avoid getting sued is apologize for everything he said and did. He started his second video by saying, Ethan's threatened to sue me. It's not a threat. I'm going to sue you. Noah.
Not going to say it, but this kind of arrogance is one that you only achieve after Zionism rots your brain.
Said in his second video, Ethan's threatening to sue me. Have fun with that, I guess. He said, well, I'm about to have fun with it. And unfortunately, I don't think you're going to be having much fun with it.
But I kept the video up. After speaking with several lawyers, I felt pretty confident that I'd be able to defend against a defamation suit. And I also believe that the cease and desist was just a scare tactic, as they're commonly used, to get me to delete my criticism from the internet. The deadline passed and I didn't hear anything from Ethan, and it seemed like everything was good. But then a year later, 2 days before the statute of limitations was up, Ethan actually filed the lawsuit. He alleged that I defamed him with 6 statements, including the title and thumbnail of my video and various other claims that I made. He was seeking unlimited damages and a jury trial. When you get served a defamation lawsuit, you have 30 days to respond or face default. So I spent the majority of my time the next few weeks looking everywhere to find a lawyer. Just to file a reply, I was being quoted upwards of $100,000, which is obviously pretty stressful because I don't have that kind of money on hand. So I ended up doing a fundraiser, and I fundraised as much as I could. We got not quite to the goal, but over $100,000, which I thought was pretty good. But as the deadline...
Imagine if you sued a YouTuber for a video you didn't like, the entire internet would turn on you. It would be world news. Yes. 100%. Not even a question. And we know already because I joked about suing more Pegaslop. I joked about suing more Pegaslop, and more Pegaslop's defenders went crazy. They went crazy mode. They went crazy mode. Every single person that had defended Ethan Klein's vexatious litigant status, his frivolous lawsuits that he actively pursued simply to bury poorer content creators, much smaller content creators who had hurt his feelings, under a mountain of paperwork, costly litigation, and destroy their lives. Every single person that had supported that unconditionally turned around and were like, oh, how can Hassan do this? How can Hassan do this? More Pegaslop is simply making 300 plus videos on him to hold him accountable.
Approached, and I started to get even more stressed out. I still hadn't found a lawyer. That's when I got in touch with Deborah Drews. Deborah Drews is an LA-based attorney who specializes in defamation law, and honestly, I owe her my life. She's an incredible lawyer, and from our first conversation, she showed genuine interest in this case. She was also willing to work at a major discount, which is what made it possible to donate most of this money that we raised. So anyways, I retained Deborah's counsel, of course, and we began working on our response. Our approach was
every single place online I've seen people talking about this are all clowning on Ethan. The only place I've seen him still getting defended is, of course, the LSF thread that was posted about this law. Of course, the holdover space for Epstein brigaders. I don't know why they choose to live in an alternative reality. I don't know what purpose that serves, but hopefully moments like this will snap at least some of these people out of that. You know what I mean? Moments like this is where expectations meet reality, and it shows people that their little Discord servers or their brigaded subreddits are actually totally leading them astray, moving them into this deeper pit of despair, getting them to see a completely separate version of events.
Was going to be to file an anti-SLAPP motion. The SLAPP in anti-SLAPP stands for Strategic Lawsuit Against Public Participation, and the statute was designed to prevent powerful people from weaponizing their resources to silence dissent from critics that cannot sustain a long-term legal battle. A successful anti-SLAPP motion can dismiss frivolous lawsuits before they even go to trial and force the plaintiff, in this case it would be Ethan, to pay the defendant's legal fees. As our work on the case progressed, we started to feel like we'd put together a pretty strong case. But then, just a few days before the filing deadline, Ethan Klein reached out to us looking to open up settlement talks. Now, at first, I was taken aback. Ethan sued me, made me pay a bunch of money, stressed out me and my family, and now he's coming to me to settle? No, we're not doing that. That's not happening, especially given how strong we felt our defense was. But Deborah, in her infinite wisdom and expertise, suggested that we didn't know what their terms would be. Maybe they really wanted out of the lawsuit, and maybe their offer would reflect this, and it could be good for us. A settlement would end proceedings immediately, it would eliminate all risk, and it would free up the money that we'd raised to be donated right away. Depending on the specific.
Hassan, you're stupid if you actually believe Ethan is going to suddenly change. Did I say that? Did I even imply that? First of all, for Ethan to even begin the process of change and restitution, he has to, one, drop the numerous other lawsuits that are still ongoing, Morgan being one, Denims being another one, because he said he was going to pursue an appeal with Denims. I think there's like also random anonymous Redditors that he's trying to sue as well. I think that there's that lawsuit too. So he needs to drop those. He needs to apologize to every single person he has sued. He needs to probably offer financial compensation to Casey Tron for what he put Casey Tron through. Okay. He's not going to do any of that. I don't think. He's on Stalin levels of paranoia. Yeah, 100%.
That could be a pretty good deal. So we agreed to file an extension.
I don't expect him to ever apologize to me. And to be honest, I don't care about him apologizing to me. Okay? He spent, obviously, even in all of these fucking frivolous lawsuits, he literally spent hours and hours and hours pouring into the paperwork to talk about how I'm like Adolf Hitler and shit like that. I know it sounds crazy. I know it sounds insane. And you're like, oh, why are you making this about you or whatever? But all of the fucking lawsuits were. All of his lawsuits. Calling me the fucking Grand Mufti of Palestine. Shit like that. I don't give a fuck about him apologizing to me. I don't want it. I don't care. You can spare it. Okay? But apologize to these other people whose lives you fucked up. You used your wealth. You used your unfathomable war chest. Your unbelievable amounts of wealth to go after all of these people. And you ruined their fucking lives. Maybe one day we'll be able to talk about the actual stuff that happened on the background. Okay?
To start settlement talks, but nothing could have prepared me for what they came up with. In exchange for dropping his lawsuit, Ethan Klein wanted a public apology on my primary YouTube channel and Twitter account.
For the record, this is, let's just say, this sheds a little bit more light into the Casey-tron apology, don't you think? Remember when I talked about how like that was a fucking ISIS hostage style video and everyone was like, no, Casey's being sincere. Yeah, this is exactly what he did with Casey-tron, clearly.
Approved by Ethan, which would need to include a claim that he and his wife Hila have both supported.
Again, pre-approved by my client before public release. As in, Ethan gets to pre-approve the release, the apology release. Apology for saying my client supported genocide. Acknowledgement that my client and his wife have supported the Palestinian cause. Free to say he disagrees with my client and my client does much to defend Israel.
The Palestinian cause. He also wanted me to remove 6 separate videos from my YouTube channel. I'm pretty sure it's all the videos I've ever talked.
Yeah. That's exactly what happened with Casey-tron, by the way. So even though we all assumed that this proves Casey-tron's gunpoint apology was just written by Ethan, and White had all these lines about how Hassan didn't support me, or worse than that, an apology for Asmongold. Ethan Klein, through this litigation, got Casey-tron to apologize to Asmongold. A pre-approved Asmongold apology. He looked at that and he checked it off. He looked at that and he demanded it and he got it and he said, this is great. Freak. Imagine suing people into financial despair to force them to call you a Palestinian ally. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
About him in, which includes several videos that are unrelated to the claims made in the actual lawsuit. He also wanted a non-disparagement clause, which would bar me from ever publicly criticizing Ethan again. They did include a potential provision to reimburse my legal fees to be donated to a mutually agreed upon charity, so that's great, but only if my public apology included an acknowledgement that Ethan replenished these funds so that they can go to charity. So these terms were, let's just call them inadequate, hard.
I would call them, you know, Israel style. Like the level of arrogance, the sheer entitlement, the hubris, it is unfucking bearable, dude. Straight up deploying the fucking money cannon at content creators he knows he can bully. So narcissistic.
For us to accept, so we made a counteroffer. No apology, no confidentiality, full reimbursement for all of our legal fees, no deleting any videos outside of the ones which were about the lawsuit, which we felt would become irrelevant if it was settled, and then one public statement which would read as follows. Ethan and I disagree about a video I made in response to his video Content Nuke Hassan Piker. He thinks my video says one thing, and I think it says another. Both of us believe that YouTube is a place for free expression, and recognize the right to criticize each other's views. So we've decided to end our dispute amicably. Keeping it out of court frees up funds to help families in Gaza right now. We sent these terms over and didn't hear back, so we prepared to file our anti-slap motion. It was all ready to go. I was kind of excited. Honestly, Deborah cooked. But then a few days later, Ethan filed the motion to dismiss with prejudice. And that was it. So back to that question of like what happened, why'd he back out? Because he hasn't publicly commented and he didn't respond to my request for comment, we can really only speculate. Maybe he did have a change of heart. Maybe he doesn't want to be the one that hands out lawsuits left and right to silence critics. And maybe if he were to admit this publicly and apologize for wasting my time and money and acting like a freak throughout the whole process, then maybe I'd believe that. But until then, I think there are more likely explanations. See, Ethan has stated publicly that his many lawsuits against smaller creators have damaged his reputation.
I don't want to be the fucking litigious.
He didn't want another L. You know the saddest part about the story? This is because of Denims and Moist Critical. That's it. Because Denims was able to secure the funds to pursue and force this into court. And that decision that came down got someone like Moist Critical to cover it. Now, if Moist Critical or Philip DeFranco or numerous other people in the commentary sphere looked at the situation from the start and started criticizing Ethan, perhaps Ethan would have felt humiliated far before it got to this point. Okay? Perhaps if other content creators had criticized Israel, well, that too. Perhaps if other content creators had been not too shy to, one, criticize Israel, learn more about what Israel was doing, and two, criticize Ethan and learn more about what Ethan was doing, perhaps then Ethan probably would have backed away. Or, oh, sorry, Moist Critical only looked at the lawsuits because of Ethan suing iDubbbz. You're right. That's true. That's true. I fucked it up. You're right. And by the way, I'm not talking about like in the last, because Moist has done a lot of critical coverage on Israel. I'm talking about from the start. Because there were a lot of people in the commentary sphere who are still on Ethan's side, for the record. Okay? They're still on Ethan's side. I'm genuinely grateful for Moist Critical, not only criticizing Israel a lot, especially in the last half a year or so, but even taking the time out to cover the iDubbbz controversy, because that was absolutely what I think caused Ethan to reflect. He realized that, the commentary sphere was going to turn on him. Many of the commentary sphere, the smaller orbiters, are still firmly on his side, but there is a growing movement of people who are very critical of the shit that he's doing. Why hasn't he gone after you at all? Doesn't it make him look like a hypocrite that he won't take you on? I mean, he has tried. I think part of the problem here, I'll tell you why. You want to know why? Because he tried and he fucking failed. Because I refuse to watch the fucking dumbass video that he made. Okay? Not only do I have money, not only do I have a much larger audience and a lot more support and a much larger group of haters, obviously, including fucking entire governments at this point. But he tried his hardest. He tried his darndest. He tried so fucking hard. He made a whole video about it. This was a cause for celebration. But the reason why he couldn't sue me in court was because he thought he could get me to react to the content nuke. And then he thought he could sue me for reacting to the content nuke. And I never reacted. And for the longest time, he tried to get his audience to be like, oh, see, you're scared. You're terrified of Ethan's intellectual prowess. He's destroyed you in the marketplace of ideas, you fucking terrorists, For a whole ass year after the context nuke came out. For a whole ass year, people kept coming in here to be like, you're terrified. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to play this fucking game. I've already reacted to the context nuke before it even came out, because it was the exact same commentary that I had heard a million times over, because Ethan just basically scoured the same subreddits. It was all coming from the same place. And it's the ADL uses the same database. Ethan used the same database. It was all coming mostly from Epstein. And I had already reacted to it. So if you wanted to hear my fucking perspective, you could go and watch that, right? And I told people this at the time. Nobody fucking wanted to listen. Nobody wanted to watch because they just wanted drama. For them, this wasn't about a genocide that was ongoing. This wasn't about criticism. But that's the reason why. That's the reason why he couldn't fucking catch me in a fucking lawsuit. And he also blew his load by basically begging on camera to get me to fucking react to it. It would have been hilarious after all of that if he turned around and tried to sue the subject of his enmity, the subject of his video. He literally cried on camera that I wouldn't react to his video. He straight up fucking crowed. Real tears. And then when all was said and done, I did react to it. It took 9 hours to react to like half of it. You can go watch the video if you want. It's on my YouTube page. Yeah, he crowed. He crowed real tears. But if you're wondering why he never ended up suing me, it's because it failed. Remember back in November 2024 when we watched Stalkman on stream constructing the tweets with boner box that would lead to the Twitch's banning Israel IPs crusade? It was all a joke, and look where that went. It wasn't even a joke. He lied. And it failed.
This asshole that's suing everybody. Like, I know what people think of me. I know what people say about me. I'm not a moron. I know like the consequences of doing all these lawsuits and stuff.
The biggest backlash so far came very recently when he was criticized by a prominent YouTuber, Charlie of the channel Penguin Zero. He criticized Ethan's lawsuits, and these videos got millions of views.
Ethan, of all people, should be very familiar with how defamatory lawsuits can be exploited by those with a lot of money. He was the guy that always fought on the right side of these kind of battles. And now in this case, I really think he's lost his way in that regard.
Ethan also just lost a lawsuit against the streamer Denims. He sued her for copyright infringement, and the ruling on this one was just brutal. The judge ruled against Ethan while citing his own previous case of defending against a
literally cost so many small content creators their ad revenue, and people blamed you for talking politics. I know. This man tried to trigger an adpocalypse on Twitch deliberately and saw a little bit of success in the interim because like Twitch had to like reroute certain things, like create a political alignment. There were like Iranian content creators that lost their revenue in the process as well, their ad revenue. He did that shit. And then there were dumb fucks who had the audacity, who blamed me for it. They were like, oh, yeah, it would be better if Hassan wasn't on the fucking platform. It'd be better if Hassan wasn't talking politics on the platform. People I used to watch that were like sub 100 viewers were crying about you legit. I know. A concerted effort to do tremendous amounts of damage. Yeah, Ethan tried to briefly sue Sean the Black. Yeah, look. Because Snark and the two disgraced journals are unwilling to swallow their pride, it looks like the lawsuit against Sean will be moving forward. So I'm in an act of unimaginable grace. I'm prepared to make one final offer. If Hassan donates 25 grand to each of their GoFundMes, I will tear up the Sean the Black complaint that I've already spent several thousands writing. Furthermore, Hassan, any behind the scenes donations will be found during discovery. So pretending like you're helping them, BTS works now. But everything will be overturned to us in due time. How'd that work out for you, Ethan? Like, this is what he was doing. Not a single fucking content creator in this sphere ever covered this shit. He was out here Trump posting on a daily fucking basis. This was extortion, and it is illegal, by the way. You can't do this. Every day there were like 4 or 5 Instagram stories like this one. Every damn day. It's unbearable. It's virtually impossible to document the depravity. Okay? He's getting a fraction of the comeuppance. And if he had any integrity, if he still had some semblance of his humanity that he hasn't lost, he would apologize for all of it. Not to me. I don't give a shit. You don't have to apologize to me, but apologize to every single person whose lives you fucking ruined. Okay? Because he did. He did. He ruined so many lives, dude.
Frivolous copyright lawsuit. It wasn't until both of these events that Ethan began offering to drop his defamation.
Philip DeFranco covered this. Yeah, he covered some of it. Did you know he was laying a trap for Lawfare to sue you and then decide not to watch? I mean, I had my suspicions.
Lawsuits in exchange for an apology, of course.
If Ian would issue a genuine apology, I'd probably think about dropping the lawsuit. And honestly, the same is true of Noah Samson. If he just issued like a heartfelt apology, I'd probably consider dropping it.
And there's another part to this that I think is worth discussing, which is how Ethan's reputation has also taken hits due to his support for Israel. According to him, this perception has ruined some of his personal and professional relationships.
From a professional perspective, our entire lives are ruined. Collaborations, partners, business partners, employees, creators, friends.
If you look at the trends in views and subscribers, there's been a demonstrable drop since October of 2023. Former fans of H3 are leaving and have spoken about the sort of rampant Zionism in that community. Apparently, even just wearing their merch now has an explicit association with the state of Israel. At one point, Ethan may have thought that suing me for criticizing his statements about Israel could change this public perception.
I'd love to see you reason out in a court document about how I and Mudahar support genocide.
Remember when Mudahar backed away from this too? Because even he was like, this is fucking crazy. Like, this is too much. Because Mudahar was supposed to be in on this lawsuit against Noah Samson, if you remember. He backed out of it. He was like, nope, I'm not doing this shit. I realize which way the fucking tides have turned.
I look forward to that.
But somewhere along the line, he must have realized that this strategy wouldn't work. When he got the chance to prove me wrong in front of a judge, just like he wanted, he folded. He backed out at the last minute. So here we are. So anyways, super glad this is all over, ready to get back to making regular videos. I'll update everyone with a post as soon as I can about the GoFundMe situation once that's cleared up. I appreciate everyone who has supported me throughout this whole ordeal, including those who have contributed to the fundraiser and the many creators who were kind enough to join in on the fundraiser stream. That was super cool. And once again, huge shout out to my lawyer, Deborah Drews, and her firm, Drews Legal. She genuinely saved the day. If you have any legal troubles in the vein of this case, her firm may be interested down the line, so hit them up. Okay, that's it. We're done.
Yeah, here he is crying.
You won't fucking watch the damn video. Don't let him get away with that, man. It's just pathetic. He won't fucking watch the damn video. Don't let him get away with that, man. It's just pathetic.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm glad that Noah is no longer in the crosshairs. So that's good. There's still a long way to go for restitution. Yeah, this is the power of gray rocking abusers. Yeah. Yeah. It is. A lot of this stuff is just pure narcissism. A lot of this stuff is pure narcissism. My girlfriend cut up her Teddy Fresh hoodie after I showed her some of the content nuke, lol. He can't reopen this lawsuit. It's over. He dismissed it. Yeah, with prejudice. So it's over. Have you seen H3 sing shock to his kids? Dude's obsessed. Yeah, it's fine. It's pathetic. It was dismissed by the judge with prejudice. With prejudice means a new case with these same conditions cannot be opened. Yeah, he was fucking going crazy. He was going after Philip DeFranco's wife. Philip DeFranco's wife is in the comment section of a deranged snarker on TikTok. Nice look, guys. Don't tempt me. I'm feeling like a messy bitch right now.
I grew up with brothers who controlled what went on the TV, so I watched YouTube my entire childhood, and it has been super interesting to watch people who were once really big on YouTube and where they are now. And one of those people for me is Ethan Klein. Ethan Klein of H3H3 Productions used to have some value, used to have some worth. In fact, at one point I felt like he was being a champion for free and fair use rights on YouTube. He has had just a consistent crash downward, and now I dare to say that he has reached rock bottom, at least in my book. As of
Yeah, it's just, I just like, yeah, he never went after Philip, of course, even though Philip DeFranco did offer some coverage to what was going on every now and then, like periodically. The reason he filed to dismiss with prejudice is to avoid having to pay for Noah's lawsuit. The case was that bad, he would have lost the slap motion. Yeah. Yeah. I think a big part of him dropping it is because if he lost this case, I think one more, he could be marked as a vexatious litigant. I don't think the timeline adds up. I don't think he's lost that many lawsuits. I think it has to be 7 in a short period of time, right? I don't know the exact details of this, but like, yes, Ethan Klein was close to testing the boundaries of the California legal system. Is it 5 in 7 years or 7 in 5 years? Yeah. And also, in order to be a vexatious litigant, I think you have to also self-represent. So if you just have like a lawyer, which Ethan does. Again, I don't know the full details. I'm not a fucking YouTube lawyer, and YouTube lawyers don't really know the details either. Let's be real, as evidenced by the fact that so many of them celebrated every single one of these decisions. You know, Asmongold, the number one YouTube lawyer, that pervert legal, whatever the fuck his name is, legal mindset? There's a couple of these like YouTube lawyers. Not legal is awesome. I'm talking about all these other fucking weirdos that are insanely right wing, and they all grabbed onto this bullshit. I hope Legal covers it at one point. That'd be great. I don't think he will. I don't know where his I don't know where he's at on some of this stuff, but knowingly filing frivolous lawsuits against the rules of professional conduct. Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe you could get his West Bank lawyer disbarred potentially. YouTube lawyers know about the same amount of the law as you. Yeah.
Done.
Just so ridiculous. There is also